Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Makona Man at YouTube with another model review. We're going to be reviewing a commission I received of the old SDBB Geara Doga. Right after Model Expo, hanging out at Animasia, we received this quick 10-day flip build. The model kit was provided to me and was requested to be finished for a birthday for a client's friend who was quite nostalgic over that particular model which was found. The box was in a crushed condition, though all the runners and bits and pieces were accounted for. Back in the day, and if it was still available, this goes for 300 yen, so close to around the $4 mark in every other currency. 2 runners, a light green, dark green styrene sheet with what be no more than 30 parts. The instructions and box art is purely in Japanese, with more emphasis on the comic and the storytelling over the instructions. The instructions themselves are clear enough due to the simplicity of this build. A basic snap would probably take no more than 10 minutes. And finally, foil stickers, which will not be used in this build, but compared to locate the appropriate water slide decals. This particular build does not have any polycaps. All snap connections is a peg into a holding pin. Some parts are quite clever, where you do have a cap with a breakaway to it, so there's enough tension for the peg to go through. The fitting and articulations are pretty tight, though very, very limiting. These kits are, however, renowned for their terrible articulation and colour separation. The client has made it very clear that they would like it airbrushed, properly masked to display the colour breakdown as per the box art, and seam line removal. I only had about 5 days available to work on this around work, and about 3 days access to my personal airbrush and range of paints. Immediately that night I went straight into gluing together the parts where they've had the worst and most notorious seam lines. Ignoring the instructions at this stage, I decided to remove the nubs and glue together the most important key parts, with the peg holes heavily widened to prevent tension and re-splitting of the seam. This would be the head, the arms and the feet. The gun surprisingly was in one part and just had a flash to be removed, and the arms taken quite a while, where the torso was mostly hidden, though still treated. Each part was plastic cemented together and the seam line covered in superglue. Once a sufficient amount of time has passed, heavy sandpaper was used to level out the superglue and rechanneled with Mr. Dissolved putty. The day after that, it was sanded up and polished and went straight into the primer stage. All other components had their nubs correctly removed with nippers, a knife and sandpaper. Quite a bit of flash was available. I believe this mold was very, very leaky, as the edge of the skirt and other parts had about 1 mil of plastic sticking out that was wafer thin. All of this was chopped out and correctly sanded. Any available panel line was re-scribed with the back of the knife to allow a greater channel for a wash or panel lining to occur. Now, I don't normally accept commissions unless the kit really interests me. There would be a throwaway price for the client to walk out. Very rare for someone to work on an SD or something very old due to the time that's consumed and the materials in dealing with seams and masking and whatnot. Funnily enough, the client was good enough to accept the price. I didn't even meet him in person. He paid up front and went straight to work. I happened to dig the subject as well as the vintage of the kit, and a quick challenge straight after Model Expo. It was unknown if the client was familiar with my work or that I specialise in this sort of style of model and vintage. Once everything was together, filled and whatnot, On end of day 3, start of day 4, everything was primed with Tamiya primer to look for any imperfections, and funnily enough, the 2-step process filled those seam lines perfectly. There wasn't anything that jumped out that needed to be retouched upon, which was ideal in this time-sensitive project. I was able to replace all the stickers that I wanted to apply and appeared on the box art with water slide decals from the Char's counterattack set, as well as some military US markings. Each part was broken down according to what colour it was meant to receive according to the box art, and shaded in 2 tones of colour in that correct colour. The lowest part that I can mask to an edge first. This was heavily airbrushed in lacquers, mostly Mr. Hobby. A clear coat applied, and at least 12 hours drying until Tamiya or U-Star masking tape was applied and the second layer of paint dusted over, clear coated. The weapons got a really nice metallic yellow to give that beam saber effect. The painting and the build elements were very quick, just a couple of hours. The most time consuming element was seam line removal, mostly sanding, though with the amount of work I've been doing with vintage kits, this was probably the fastest and the cleanest effort I've done in a while, as well as the masking. Cutting out very small squares of tape, some of them folded over for easy lifting, and placed in a pattern so the lines are nice, fresh and crisp. Luckily, no masking errors occurred. 1 or 2 areas did need to be touched up, hand painted, though not too obvious as I did a 2-tone shading system. On the final day and crunch time before I had to leave, all the masks were removed. Pretty pleased. Hand painted all the bits of detail that could not be airbrushed. The lily yellow vents, the black vents, the pipework, black first, a few hours waited, then the brass, the black visor. A jewel was applied very last, followed by a black wash. Sufficient amount of time to pass, but maybe not enough, where 1 or 2 tiny blemishes did appear, and a final 2 tones of matte coat, leading to a finished product that needed to be quickly filmed, photos taken and packed away to deliver. All the weapons were done, which is not normally in my style, as I wasn't clear if that was the client's wishes or not. And this led to a very quick but quite enjoyable build. I may not have been able to keep this little guy, though there was a tidy profit followed by it. It would have been pretty cool to have him around. Now, unfortunately, he does have a bazooka that shoots 2 little missiles. The springs inside deteriorated and could not work with inside the mechanism. This was glued shut. There is sufficient articulation between the head, the arms and the legs, though as limited as it gets with an SD. With the colour breakdown of the masking and the filling with the seam lines, you got a nice clean effect that gives you an almost magazine review of an SD. Nothing brilliant or groundbreaking. It is an out-of-the-box job, though following the box art within the colour range and following through with my style. The panel line job could have been done far more neater, and I was pretty happy with the colour shading. I could have done a 3 or 4 tone if I had more time, and if there was a lot more time, the hand painting and the black wash would have been pretty much neater. Besides that, it's probably the best SD I've done, and up there with some of my older builds. Really happy how not a single seam does pop out, nor any of the other imperfections. It was a lot of fun, and quite a thrill to do a 5-day challenge when I just had no intentions or anything to do something this quick. I was just going to crack open a new build, have a play with that, and finish off a bunch of other things that are ready for painting in the backlog. All in all, can't really complain. Always recommend to have a go at an old SD. It will challenge you and push you in elements of cleaning up nubs, looking at some detail, fixing seam lines, and most importantly, masking for that glorious colour modulation and doing it all in a nice, clean effort. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, I hope the client enjoys it, which I still at this stage haven't met him, though delivered it. The kit should be received and given as a gift by the time this video is uploaded. And if the guy who owns the kit ever sees it, drop a line and say hello. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. We upload videos once or twice a week. Social media links in the description down below. We do quite a bit on Pinterest as well as Facebook and Tumblr. Catch you guys next time.